Ouais, j'ai fini mon livre de Steve Harvey finalement.
Ah ouais, puis,
3 ans, 2 ans et demi plus tard. Ouais.
puis,
C'est bon, mais à un moment donné, ça dérape, là. C'est même plus dans l'humour, là. C'est rendu qu'il parle de genre, comme, how to be a good husband, pis tout. Là, j'étais comme, ok,
mhm.
ouais, là,
Ouais, c'est ça.
je décroche, là. Je suis pas tant, je suis pas tant rendu là, Steve. Mais,
Ouais, c'est un peu poche comme. Ouais, ben, il est comme reconnu pour ça, là, de parler de la vie intime, puis de donner des conseils de relations, puis tout ça. Puis je suis comme. Je sais pas si c'est le gars le mieux placé au monde pour ça, tu sais, je veux dire.
pourquoi?
je-
À cause
je-
de ses divorces, genre?
ben, non, mais il est-tu reconnu pour être comme une espèce de génie de l'amour? Genre, je sais pas.
Ouais, je sais pas.
Moi,
Mais
tout ce monde-là qui font des affaires de même, j'ai toujours de la misère, on dirait, je sais pas.
non, c'est chien pour Alex Perron.
Non, non, mais, ben oui,
C'est
mais lui,
vrai.
il tourne ça en joke, là,
Ben
tu sais,
oui,
c'est ça la fin. Ouais.
c'est pour ça que je dis ça.
Ouais.
Mais, ouais, non, mais en tout cas, moi, j'aime beaucoup le Steve Harvey de back then, là, quand il faisait du
Ouais.
stand-up. Puis, je sais qu'il y avait, fait que je le connais un peu de ce qu'il a fait. Puis, je sais qu'il a fait un livre qui s'appelle euh, Think Like a Man, Act Like a Woman, je pense que ça s'appelle, ou l'inverse. Je pense que c'est ça. Puis tu vois juste avec le titre que ça a mal vieilli.
Ouais.
Mais,
Ben,
mais
il y a eu des films aussi là-dessus.
ouais,
Kevin
mais
Hart qui a fait
je
deux
sais que ça
films.
a été comme un. Genre, il y a eu un énorme succès avec ce livre-là. Fait que
Ouais,
peut-être que ça vient de là,
peut-être. Je sais
l'espèce
pas.
de.
Moi, je suis comme, reste au stand-up, puis à l'animation de quiz télé, puis tu
Ouais,
sais, donne pas des conseils. Je sais pas, je trouve ça weird.
ouais. Non,
Je trouve,
définitivement.
en général, je trouve ça weird, que ce soit lui ou quelqu'un d'autre. Mais...
Ouais, ouais. Mais il y a un truc que j'aime chez Steve, que je retrouve avec Trixx, qui est notre invité cette semaine. C'est.
Sa couleur de peau.
What the fuck?
C'est quoi le. C'est que tu m'as fait rire. En tout cas, oui, vas-y,
J'ai
continue.
rien dit!
Non, je sais, c'était.
Tabarnak.
Ah, man. Ok, vas-y, continue.
Mais c'est genre.
Moi, j'ai le droit de rire de ça, pas toi.
Non, j'en ris aussi, mais c'est juste. Je comprends pas où t'as essayé de me mettre. Mais.
On
Euh,
sait tous que t'es raciste.
ben oui, tu sais. Ce
C'est
que
pour
je
ça que
veux.
tu parles plus dans le podcast, puis pas moi.
Ouais, c'est ça. C'est que je veux tout le temps être un peu supérieur
Ouais, c'est
à
ça.
toi dans le podcast. Mais ce que je veux dire avec ça, c'est que, genre, Trix a un côté, genre, il y a un côté physique, puis un côté de comment il raconte les affaires. Je trouve que Trix a un swag
Mhm.
quand il performe, là, que je trouve que Steve Harvey avait. Puis,
Ouais.
moi, c'est pour ça que je pense que c'est un de mes humoristes préférés. Ben, Steve Harvey back then, puis là, Trix maintenant.
Mhm.
Parce que, tu sais, dans le podcast, j'en reviens pas, mais à bien y repenser après, ça m'impressionne pas tant quand il dit que, tu sais, il écrit pas ses trucs, puis
Ouais.
qu'il y a rien d'écrit, puis que ça vient juste de même, puis etc. Parce que lui, c'est vraiment un natural comic, là. Tu sais,
Mhm.
c'est quelqu'un qui est juste drôle, tu sais.
Ouais. Vraiment. C'est
Mhm.
super intéressant. Moi, je trouvais, ça n'a pas rapport vraiment avec le podcast, mais si je ferme les yeux là, puis je l'écoute parler, moi j'avais l'impression que c'était la voix à piquer sous ban. Je sais pas pourquoi.
Ouais, pour vrai?
Tout le long, je pensais à ça, ouais, de la manière comment il parle, qu'il s'exprime, puis tout. J'étais comme, oh shit. Puis tu sais, les deux, ils viennent de la même place, là. Fait que j'étais comme, ah, ben peut-être, si, ils sont peut-être cousins, genre, je sais pas. Mais je trouvais que ça, il
Ouais.
sonnait exactement pareil. Genre, j'étais comme, oh fuck. Fait que
Ah,
c'est intéressant pour ça.
ouais. Tu le connaissais-tu, toi, Trix, avant?
Non, vraiment pas.
Non?
Non. Non, ben, c'est toi qui me l'as fait découvrir, découverte, découvrir. Je le connaissais pas avant. Je t'avoue, j'écoute pas tant moi d'humour en anglais ou en dehors du Québec. J'en écoute un peu là, mais je veux dire, je suis pas. En fait, j'écoute même pas tant d'humour en général. Moi, tu sais, fait que
Ça me fait pas rire, moi.
ils ont rien compris, eux
Ouais,
autres. Non, non,
c'est ça.
non, c'est pas vrai, mais non, non, je suis juste pas plus que ça, tu sais, là-dedans, puis dans les podcasts, puis tout ça. Fait que des fois, c'est des belles découvertes comme Tricks, justement, c'est vraiment cool.
Mhm.
Quand on fait nos recherches après pour le podcast, pour l'enregistrement, là, je me mets à les écouter en crise, on s'entend.
Ouais.
Mais ouais, je le connaissais pas avant, puis c'est vraiment une belle découverte.
Ouais, il est fort, ce gars-là. Puis il y a un calme, il y a une façon de dire comment il gère sa carrière ou comment il veut. Tu sais, en tout cas, de la manière dont je l'écoutais parler, c'est vraiment hard là, à être un humoriste anglophone, même si tout le monde est ouvert. Puis
Mhm.
que nous, mettons, tu sais, nous, comparativement, il y a juste le Québec, tu sais, oui.
Ouais.
Puis eux, ils ont tout le monde à eux, mais en même temps, c'est énorme, là. Tu sais, comme il disait, tu sais, t'as tellement comme un énorme territoire, tellement de monde à couvrir que c'est tough. Là.
Mais c'est vrai, je pensais à ça moi aussi, tu sais, le fait que genre, tu sais, nous, on est comme, on trouve ça tough de percer ici au Québec, mais tu sais, nous autres, c'est le Québec, tu sais, eux, c'est comme tout le Canada anglais, genre.
Ouais, puis les États,
La
puis
compétition est pas
même
mal
le
plus,
reste du monde, tu sais.
ouais, la compétition est pas mal plus rough et sévère, j'ai l'impression,
Ben oui,
juste à cause de la loi des grands nombres, I guess, là, tu sais,
ben oui, c'est ça.
mais bon, mais je trouve qu'on est plus drôle ici, pareil.
Ouais. Tu penses?
Je sais pas, hein, ça serait peut-être un bon débat à avoir. Je sais pas si c'est à cause de la langue ou de la culture qui est plus présente, j'ai l'impression, au Québec que dans le reste du Canada, mais peut-être, je sais pas.
On est définitivement très fort en humour au Québec,
Ouais. Mais je sais que
mais
la place de l'humour au Québec
ouais,
est plus importante que l'humour dans le reste du Canada. Puis j'avais lu une statistique à un moment donné, ça fait longtemps, mais comme j'avais lu quelque chose comme le top 10 des spectacles les plus qui ont produit le plus de revenus au Canada. Je pense qu'il y en a comme 3 c'est en humour ou 7 ou quelque chose de même. Je pense que c'était 7 en humour, dont 3 qui étaient des Québécois, justement. Fait que j'étais comme, tu
ouais.
sais, me semble juste par là, ça veut tout dire, là, mais
C'est fou, hein?
je sais pas. Ouais.
C'est fou. Ouais, non, il y a un grand amour du stand-up ici, mais
Ouais.
je sais pas, mais ça c'est vrai par contre, Trixx nous l'a dit, mais tu le vois avec d'autres aussi que souvent les humoristes du Canada anglais, ils finissent par aller aux États-Unis parce qu'il y a comme
Ouais.
si t'es pas genre dans les chosen ones du Canada anglais,
Mm.
ça décollera jamais. Là,
Exact.
c'est un peu ce que Trixx nous disait. Ouais.
Mm.
Et voilà. Mais cool, ben écoute, là-dessus, guys, on a envie de vous laisser à l'épisode avec Trixx. Évidemment, je pense que vous l'avez compris, sinon, juste pour être sûr, si vous comprenez pas l'anglais, c'est ici que votre visionnement s'arrête. Parce que c'est un épisode en anglais, évidemment, Trixx vient de Toronto. Fait que c'est ça, c'est un épisode en anglais, il n'y a pas de sous-titres, rien. Fait que, mais moi puis Sacha, on a un accent, donc ça devrait quand même être pas trop compliqué à comprendre. Oubliez pas d'aller nous suivre sur les réseaux sociaux. Oubliez pas d'aller suivre Trixx également. On sort un épisode à chaque mardi. Il y a des bandes annonces qui sortent de l'épisode de la semaine d'après qui sort à chaque jeudi, à chaque lundi. Donc allez liker notre page Facebook, allez aimer nos pages Facebook respectives à nous. Faites de la pression à Sacha pour qu'il se fasse des crises de comptes de réseaux sociaux. Parce que je sais pas ce que tu fais en 2020 avec juste une page perso. Mais.
Je t'avais de me partir un compte OnlyFans.
Ouais,
ça s'en vient.
Ouais, c'est ça. T'auras pas d'Instagram, mais tu vas avoir un compte OnlyFans. Ça serait drôle.
C'est ça.
Cool. Mais, merci beaucoup tout le monde de nous écouter encore une fois. Puis bon épisode avec Trixx.
Bon épisode.
But I mean, it is what it is, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know Vegas was a big like comedy scene. I didn't know they had a big comedy scene because I went there twice and I hadn't seen.
I wouldn't say that it has a big comedy scene. I mean, it's got a booming one now. They
Okay.
There's a lot of comics there,
Oh, really?
and there is a scene there, but it's just it. I think the last 2-3 years is starting to flourish a little bit. Now everybody's moving there.
All the comics.
Yeah, Brent Erst moved there. Pauly Shore lives there now. I've moved there. Lange's moved there. Spencer James, Ty Rivera, bunch of us. Big
That's
Iris
cool.
J.
And is it
Just 'cause
cheaper than LA? Then they move?
It's very cheap. It's way more cheaper than LA.
Right. I guess. So.
But everybody has their reasons as to why they moved there, right? I don't know. I can't speak for everybody else, but I know that the scene there is a little bit more welcoming. There's a plethora of shows.
Okay.
It's Las Vegas, right? Easier to get flights. You can get a flight anywhere in America
Right.
from Las Vegas, or pretty much almost anywhere in the world from Las Vegas. It's just a good vibe, man.
Yeah, I guess
Nice
so.
vibe
Yeah.
over there. Yeah, it's pretty cool
Definitely
over
go
there.
back and see the comedy there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
no, I'm not looking forward to the move only because there's just so much to do.
Mm-hmm. I guess so.
I've never really lived outside Canada before, so
Right. Now you're gonna get the
it'll
residency.
be interesting. Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, I'm pretty much in with clubs there. I'm not worried about working. It's more
Okay.
about like just kind of the whole relocating.
Yeah.
It's America,
Yeah.
No, for sure.
right in the thick of the election. I don't know if this was the smartest time to move, but
Yeah, maybe you're gonna think back about your decision if Trump is reelected. You're gonna say, oh, "God damn it."
I mean, if Trump gets reelected, it is what it is, man. I mean,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
4 years, right?
Mhm.
Whatever.
Initially, are you from Toronto or from Edmonton?
No, Toronto. From
Toronto, all right.
From Toronto, yeah.
Okay,
That's
cool.
Trixx, we always do. Well, first of all, thank you to be here. So I'm first of all a big fan of you, so
I
really
appreciate
glad you're
that,
here.
man. Not many Montreal comics are big fans of mine.
Mm-hmm. No. I saw you in Just for Laughs, the Amène pre-show. I think it was
Which
2
one? The
years ago.
outdoor one?
Yeah, the outdoor one.
The outdoor one? Oh
Yeah,
man,
it
that was
so good.
oh my gosh, man.
Did you have fun?
You have no idea, bro. I was laughing. I was laughing because when Andrew Schultz performed,
Right.
just watching the parents like grab their kids and like I was laughing so hard. Even like the guys on the side, the sound guys, all panicking because he was just talking about like Michael Jackson and being licked in the anus. And I was laughing so hard because I love when people are uncomfortable in a room.
Right.
I always find that funny. So just watching 10,000 people going, oh my God, and I was crying. That shit had me. I was dying.
And he assumes his stuff so much. I love it.
Well, he was working on what people don't know is he was working on his nasty show set. And I know Andrew. Andrew's a bold comedian. Andrew doesn't give a fuck. He's gonna speak his mind. And I said, Andrew, are you gonna do like? Because it's like, is it a clean set? Because I remember I asked Abba and Preach. I go, yo, is it a clean set? Because it's outdoors, and you guys can't control who's out there. Like there's kids, there's parents, and Abba and Preach was like, no, it's not clean, man. So they're like, just do you. And I go, did you tell Andrew that? And then he's like, yeah. They're like, yeah, everybody just do you. So I looked at Andrew. I'm like, oh, Andrew, what set are you going to do? He goes, yo, man, I don't give a fuck. I'm doing my nasty show set. And I said, when you go on, I want to be right, bruh. I want to be right at the side of the stage because I want to see the reactions of people. And as soon as he started talking about Michael Jackson, I was like, yep, here we go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was violent. But it was funny as hell, though.
That was a good show, man. Everybody did their thing. It was fun. Mm-hmm. That was a good show, man.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. Yeah. We always ask the same question when we start: is how would you say what would you say is your type of comedy you do?
If you have observational.
Mm-hmm.
I say I'm observational. I like to see things and talk about what I see and relate them to the audience.
Okay.
So I would say more observational. I'm not a vile comedian. Like I'm not a blue comedian. I don't do a lot of nasty jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't hate I don't hate that style. It works for certain people. I'm not a satire guy, that's for sure. So I think observation would be the best one to say.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And what are the topics that you'd like to talk about during your material and your shows?
Everything.
No limits. Everything.
There's no. I mean, well, I won't touch rape. I won't touch rape because people are sensitive. But I just also don't find anything funny about rape either. Right. So, yeah. I mean, if you could find a way to make rape funny and people don't cancel you after, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know Chappelle's the only one I know that has a funny rape joke, but he does it from like the perspective of a guy getting raped.
Mm-hmm.
And his premise is, if a guy gets raped, how does he tell his friends? And because guys will make fun of him. Women are more supportive. I'm not doing it justice. I'm paraphrasing, but that's Chappelle.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else. I think that's the only angle you can come from with that premise, and it's funny. But I don't touch rape because it's touchy. I don't touch gay lesbian jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I stay away from gay lesbian jokes only because I don't want anybody to be alienated.
Right.
At a show of mine, I kind of want everybody to be one. So I don't want anybody to feel different because of who they sleep with. You know what I mean? So I just don't do any gay lesbian jokes. I don't do religion jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not educated enough in everybody's religions to try and make fun of religion either. So I kind of just stick to the everyday stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That we all can relate to. Some nostalgic stuff, some things that are happening now in our world, and try to connect with the audience that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And what's your format? Because I saw you plenty of times. I watched your show Undefeated also.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I saw your show Undefeated, but you're sorry?
Very, very sorry that you saw that.
How come you're sorry? I thought it was really good though.
I thank you. You're
Yeah.
being very nice.
Yeah. You didn't like it?
I'm always a critic of myself, man. I could have got, you know me. I'll get a standing O, and I'll still find reasons to be like, nah, I could have did this better. It's just me. It's just me trying to. I don't want to be complacent. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate. I'm proud of Undefeated. I'm proud of For the
hope so, man.
Children. I'm proud of all the albums. But
Yeah.
I always try to find more. That's all.
Yeah. But what's your format? I mean, because you don't tell jokes by saying like what happened to you or stuff like that. It's really observational. But like, do you do any liners or stuff? Like, what's the format you do your jokes?
Every joke I tell is based on an experience. Like the Bart Simpson joke really happened. So I do talk about things that do happen to me, but I don't stick to the conventional. Let's do setup. Premise, setup, punchline, or however it goes. I don't really like to stick to that format. I truly believe in kind of being more free on stage. So I just executed however it works on stage. I don't really like to follow. Like I don't even have a set list. I don't like doing that. I don't like seeing I don't want to seem robotic on stage at all. Like that. So that way, if I tell an old joke, I'll tell it differently. I won't tell it exactly the same.
Right.
So if you see me more than once, you're like, yo, you told that joke before, but you told it different. You know, I don't like scripts. I don't like following formats.
Right.
That's not my style at all.
Do you improvise, or or is everything already set in your head and you're just going out there and mix of both? Or?
I improvise a lot, and I do have like a skeleton of what I want to do.
Okay.
But I never have a set list, because when you perform with different audiences, you have to be able to read the room, man. And I'm very big on, okay, let me just see the audience. Like, especially if I'm headlining, I get a chance to watch the show before I go on, right? So I'll scan the audience, see who's in the audience, listen to the other comedians, see what's working, what's not working, get a feel for what the audience wants to hear. And then I go from that. Like, I can't have a set list, because I don't want to live and die by that set list. Because what if I'm in front of a bunch of old people and all I got is Tinder jokes, and then I'm screwed, right? So you got to be able to call audibles on stage. You got to be able to switch it up. So that's what I do. Like I'll throw some stuff out there in the beginning, see what I can do, and see which gear I can go to, and then it just depends on the audience for me.
How about big shows like the outdoor Just for Laugh one you did?
I didn't have a
like
set.
You didn't have a set?
No, I think for the outdoor show, I did not have a set planned. Because again, it's 10,000 people, right? And
but you can't read
trying to
10,000 people, right?
You can't read 10,000 people, but you can definitely feel out 10,000 people, because luckily I wasn't the first comic to perform. So Andrew was a good test, because I could see how far you could go with the audience. So he was perfect. So when I saw how far he could go and how well he did with how far he went, I was like, okay, so if I need to go far, I can. Some of the comedians were French comedians, so I didn't really understand a lot of what was being said. But for the English ones, I basically just saw what they could get away with and what they couldn't get away with, and then I could gear my sets to that. Then I could be like, okay, I'll do this joke, and I'll end with this joke,
right?
Because this is the feeling I'm getting from the audience. So that's how I map that out.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it in kind of a way to adapt to your to the people coming to the show and trying to connect more with them?
Say again?
The way that you say that you don't actually prepare like a setup, or is it just to adapt to the public and kind of try to connect with them better?
I think so. I believe so, because and performing in Vegas kind of taught me that, because before I started performing in Vegas a lot, I used to be very this is what I'm going to do.
Mm.
And I found that Vegas taught me how to deal with various types of audiences because every day the audience changes in Vegas. Every day.
Does it?
Every day.
Every
You have a
day.
turnover. It's not the same people unless you're doing shows for locals. But if you're on the strip, you're rarely doing shows for locals. You're doing it for tourists.
Mhm.
So every day is a different set of people. So, and it's also different people from different parts of America, also different parts of the world.
Right.
So Vegas immediately teaches you how to perform for a vast amount of different types of people.
That's awesome
in
for
one,
that.
right? So that's where I was like, you know what? Okay, I need to, first of all, I need to write my jokes more broad. Because when I first started, my jokes were very very Toronto style.
Right.
I would kill in Toronto, but then if I go to Sarnia or if I go elsewhere, I would do well, but sometimes there would be a disconnect because it's so Toronto based.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I went to Vegas where I learned, okay, wait a minute, I need to know how to write my jokes so I can tell them anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So that's why I won't have a set list. I will not, because I don't want to walk into a room going, okay, this is what I'm doing. I don't care what the audience is. I don't care who's in the audience. These are the jokes I'm doing. Because then you have to live and die by that. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to adapt to any crowd at any time. You know what I mean? So that's why I pay attention to the shows that I'm on. I'm not the headliner that sits in the green room like a superstar and doesn't watch or pay attention. I just and then I just come out and do my jokes like they're going to be good. No, I pay attention to the show, man. I pay attention to the host. I pay attention to the feature. And really pay attention to the show. That way I know what I need to do.
Yeah. But did you change your jokes? Because like you said, like it was really Toronto style. So did you just adapt your style, like your delivery, or you change your jokes?
I didn't change my delivery. I just changed how I wrote jokes or how I came up with jokes. I really try to make them as broad as I can. I don't just focus on centering on Toronto. It's easy to perform in Toronto because I'm from there and I could, I have the lingo and I know everything about Toronto and I can throw in some local references and it'll do well. But what are you going to do with those local references in Ottawa?
Right.
What are you going to do with those local references in Montreal? Right? Montreal doesn't give a shit about Toronto. They want you to tell jokes that they understand.
Right.
They're not trying to hear you talk about Toronto for 30 minutes. That's for damn sure. So, and I had to find that out the hard way. You know what I mean? Right. So, I learned, like I said, through performing in different parts of not just America but the world, that I have to write jokes, and the way I write my jokes, I have to ask myself, can I tell this joke in Thailand?
Right.
Can I tell this joke, in Japan? Can I tell it in India? Can I tell it in Australia? I got to be able to know that I can do that, So that's why when I write jokes, I try to make it as, I don't want to say generic, but I want to say I make it broad and a way where it can connect to anybody.
Right.
So like for example, when I talk about my father, and I talk about the sayings that he has, the world connects with that because we all come from a background where parents have these sayings that from their culture, and they try to tell you, and you're like, what the hell they're talking about. Everybody can relate to that. It doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter where you're from. Everybody has somebody in their family that tries to talk with proverbs or tries to act like they're wise, and I'm sure you both have somebody in your family that tries to talk like that. So that's why that joke can connect with anybody. So that's what I try to do. I try to, when I come up with a joke, I try to make sure I can do that joke anywhere.
Actually, could you tell us a little bit more about your process of writing jokes? So how it comes to you, and then how you kind of write it and how you deliver it after on stage?
Well, I don't write jokes down.
Oh, okay.
You never write them down?
I can't.
Oh wow.
Can't. And the reason why, I've tried too, I can't do it because it just seems so scripted. And and this is not to diss anybody who writes jokes. If you can write your jokes down, listen, everybody has their process. I'm not knocking writing jokes. I just personally I love being free. So what I do is I'll have a concept in my head, right? And I've written a lot of my jokes in various situations, like the crayon joke. I wrote with a friend. We were both smoking weed on the phone, and I got so high, and I said to is a comedian by her name is Keisha Brown, and she's from Montreal.
Okay.
And we used to do this thing where we're like, okay, yo, you gonna smoke? Because I'm about to smoke. So we'd smoke weed and call each other, and then we smoke weed on the phone, and then we get high on the phone. And then I remember I was so high, and I said to Keisha, for real, I was like, yo, Keisha, man, I never colored in white people, man. And then she just started laughing, and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, man, like, yo, I just thought about it, man. I never colored them. Like, I never used crayons to color white people, man. She goes, really, Trixx? You didn't even use the peach crayon? I go, nah, bro. I just left them blank. And she started laughing. She goes, you got on stage, Trixx. You can take that on stage. And then it became a bit, you know, just so for me, it's just thoughts, right? Like, for me to tell a joke, I have to feel something about the joke. Like I have to have a stance, or I have to be passionate about it. So it's easier to formulate. So what I'll do is I'll take a premise like, let's say, men are dogs, right?
Yeah.
So the premise is men are dogs. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to explain why men are dogs, right? Why do I think men are dogs? And this is why I think men are dogs. So I have the premise in my head. I'll work it out, probably in the shower. And then I'll go to a small room, open mic room, wherever in the city.
Okay.
And then I'll just throw ideas out. While I'm on the stage, I'll just throw ideas.
They're not jokes. Well, not necessarily jokes.
It's not done. Like, it's like the bit's not done. It's just, you know what? I think men are dogs. And then I'll kind of throw ideas of why I think men are dogs. And then I'll see what catches, what makes the audience laugh. And sometimes things come to you on stage while you're doing that. And then what I do is I go home, and then I figure out, okay, where do people laugh? Like, what was funny? What made more sense? And then you just build the joke. For me, I just build the joke that way.
Okay.
You know, and then there's even been times where I've done that, and then, you know, cool comedians will come up to me like, yo, I got a tag for that. Yo, what you said about the blah blah blah, yo, I think you should try this. And then sometimes comedians will, you know, they'll, you know, help you something.
Right.
So that's how I come up with jokes, man. My jokes they take time. Like, they don't. I've never written a joke in one day and then gone out and performed it and it was like done. Man, I gotta work on it in different audiences, and then as you're working on it, more ideas come, and then when the joke's done, you'll just know.
But you get to remember. Yeah, exactly. You get to remember all your material.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't write it down, because I feel like when I write shit down, I'm gonna tell the joke that way all the time, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Like, there's gonna be some parts of the joke that are muscle memory, but I never want to seem scripted, man. I never want to seem like, I don't want anybody in the audience going, okay, this is the part where he talks about the bus. This is why it's wrong.
Right.
You know, I don't want anybody to know that. I want people to be like, yo, I heard that joke before, but you didn't tell it that way the last time. That's what I want, you know? So even the old stuff seems new to people, you know?
But still, I mean, like that whole process that went through your head, and then that material just stays in your head, and you just get to remember everything. That's pretty impressive.
Well,
like, you don't even record yourself or something.
No,
Wow.
I don't. But you know, I'm fortunate though. I get to perform a lot. So
true.
There's practice, right? It'd be different if I didn't perform as much. If I didn't get the opportunities that I've gotten, then maybe I would have to like look at recording sets and stuff. But I'm on stage a lot, so that's my process. And I'm fortunate to have comedian friends who pay attention to my sets, and then they'll come to me and be like, yo, that part where you did this,
right,
yo, you should add this. So sometimes other comedians, they're your notepads, you know, they kind of come to me like, yo. So I've been lucky, man.
Now, how did you start doing stand-up, like, from the very beginnings?
I was a club MC first. Started as a club MC first, and then I became a DJ through being a club MC. And back in the day when you were a DJ, I didn't DJ in the Serato era. I didn't DJ with the laptops. Back in my day, you had to DJ with like vinyl, like records,
Mhm.
Oh, sure.
and then they moved to CDs. But the big thing about DJing back in my day was you were trained to read a crowd, because now in clubs nobody really cares about the DJ unless it's a popular DJ that you paid money to go see, like Diplo or Tiesto.
Yeah.
If you're just at a club, people, they all care about bottle service now. They care about bottle service. They don't really care as long as they hear the hits, as long as they hear their music, they're fine.
They're
But
happy,
back
yeah.
in my day, it was about the skill. Like you had to know how to play music, and you had to keep people on the dance floor. So you had to train yourself to read a room when you were DJing. So
Mhm.
that's why the transition from DJing to comedy wasn't that hard for me, because I was trained to read a room through DJing.
Mhm.
Right.
And then I just applied that when I came into comedy, you know?
Yeah.
So I was kind of armed with, even being a club MC, you're on a, you're with a DJ who's playing for 2,000 people.
Yeah.
So you're already and you're the face. You're who people see before the DJ.
Right.
So, you're telling everybody to throw their hands up. You're the voice of the party. You're the hype of the party. So that immediately gives you stage presence.
Yeah.
Immediately. So I just took that into comedy as well. So not being afraid to perform in front of a lot of people, stage presence, and reading a room, I had those tools already. So the transition into stand-up now is about, it was about how to formulate jokes and come up with jokes, which I obviously had to learn throughout the years. But the main tools of stage presence and charisma and understanding the dynamics of a room, I was lucky I had that early,
And it's a big part also of doing stand up, because
Very
you could
big
be
part.
funny, but if you don't have any, if you don't have a
So-
presence or something, you're screwed.
Well, that's why a lot of comics. They sometimes they'll get jealous of certain types of comics, right? Because there are comics who have to really sit down and write a joke
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
hours, and they're great writers. But when they go and perform, it doesn't translate because they're not entertaining. They're not.
Right.
There's no personality. And then you have people who are not the best joke writers, but they have so much personality and so much charisma that they can sell anything. And that's where that's where I am. I can entertain. I think I'm a very good performer. Am I the best joke writer? Not really, but I can take the little skills that I have in joke writing, and I can perform the hell out of it. I mean, I think that's why a lot of comics didn't like Dane Cook, because Dane Cook wasn't the most genius joke writer, but he'll perform his ass off, and he would sell out stadiums, and not to mention he's good looking. Girls probably want to, they probably want to have sex with him, and he was a rock star, right? These are all elements. These are all little elements for you being a star, right?
Yeah.
Some of our favorite guys who are huge and big, they're not the best joke writers, but they're rock stars. They have a look, the way they are on stage, the stage presence, the way they connect with an audience, right? All these things play a role, so it's all a package. So I was fortunate enough to have some of those tools early. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you, after hosting, doing the being a DJ in clubs, then you went on to do some maybe open mic nights or stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember
Comedy,
I started at Yuck Yucks.
Okay.
The amateur night?
Yeah. So what happened was, when I was DJing, right? When you're done DJing, you have to, you and the bar staff, everybody, you guys are waiting to get paid. And I would always be like, you got drinks in you now, the night's over. I was always cracking jokes while waiting for the money, and I would always remember people like, you got to try stand up, and I always wanted to try stand up, but I was afraid, because when you actually do stand, that's when you find out if you're really funny or not. So
Yeah.
it's easy to be the jokester in front of your friends, but in front of a group of strangers. So remember this guy named John Avery. He used to be the running back for the Toronto Argonauts.
Oh, shit.
He was also a comedian. He was very, very funny. And he went and did
Oh, shit.
amateur nights. And he's like, yo, you got to try, man, you got to come with me to Yuck Yucks and do amateur night. And I go, you know what? I've always wanted to do stand-up, but I don't know, man. He's like, yo, man, this is the number you call. Call the number. You leave your name, and then you call back the next day to see if you're on the show. That was the process.
Okay.
I remember the first time I did it, I got on. So then I was like terrified. I'm like, okay, well, here it is. This is it. So I remember telling everybody at the club, yo, I'm doing stand-up this day, and everybody came. So at least I had. Yeah, so at least I had my friends there. So if I sucked, at least I knew I could make them laugh.
Yeah.
So I remember walking into Yuck Yucks that day, man. I was like, this is it, bro. I treated it like it was like a, do or die. And the first person I saw on stage was bombing. And I was like, oh, man, maybe this is a big mistake. And then, I was terrified because, the host kind of made it hard for people. Like he kind of made it hard for people.
Yeah.
But he was a good host. He was fun. It was kind of gave you the balls to be able to go on any stage. So when I finally performed, I did well. The only reason I did well is because I was making fun of the guy before me because he was reading all of his jokes on the paper, and he left the paper on stage. So I just took up the paper. And I just improv'd probably the first 4 minutes.
Oh,
because it was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Remember, the first 4 minutes was me making fun of him having a paper, and I was just going off the dome, and people were dying. And then I had the bus stop joke I had in my back pocket, and I ended with that. And then people were like, "Yo, come back." The host was like, "You got to come back." So he would, book me a lot on amateur nights, and that's where I kind of started.
that's
then
cool.
you meet comics, obviously, when you start, and then they take you to other rooms.
Mhm.
I remember, you know who Arthur Simeon is?
Who?
You know Arthur Simeon?
No.
No.
Arthur Simeon is a very good comic. He's from Uganda, and very very popular comic. If you ask any Toronto comics about Arthur Simeon, they'll tell you who Arthur Simeon is.
Okay.
And me and him started the same night.
Really?
Oh shit.
Yeah, we went back to back. So I was first, and he was second. Like not in
And
the
that's how
lineup,
long
but
ago?
That was like 14 years ago, man.
Okay, that's a while ago.
14 years ago. So we started the same night. I'll never forget that. And he's gone on to do great things. And I've gone on to do things. So yeah.
That's cool.
Nice.
And how was how did you evaluate? Like, how your stand-up evaluated from like your very beginnings to right now? Like the stand-up you do, because you don't write your stuff. So how did you improve? How did you? Like,
I'm way
evaluate?
better now. I'm obviously that comes with time. I was more raw back in the day. I was more raw. Swore a lot. Didn't really talk about anything. Just whatever was funny, and I wanted to be the funniest guy on the show. But now it's more about having something to say,
Right.
more personal stuff, talking about more you, things that are dear to you, chronicling what's happening in the world, stuff like that. Back then, it was just about what was funny.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care about integrity, or anything like that. So, yeah, you learn a lot. I mean, I'm even my first year, I stole a joke from somebody.
Okay.
And learn and then learn I learned the repercussions fast from comics when you steal a joke, man. But I'm 2 years in. I didn't care. I was like, that's got to be the funniest guy in the room. You don't think about the etiquette until you go on the road with headliners, with OGs, with veterans, and you watch them, and they kind of teach you certain things, and you learn about the other side of comedy, which is, how you are around other comics and the etiquette of being at a show. And you're watching all these great headliners, and now you're like, man, I thought I was funny. Man, after seeing this person, I gotta learn how to tell jokes like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you that comes in time, and that comes with, being around certain energies that help you develop, and become a better comic. You know what I mean? And not to mention the stage time. like putting in the work on stage too, that also helps you become better. So that, I mean, get a lot done in 14 years. If you know, I went full time with comedy and when I was in my 5th year. So, you know, once you go full time, and this is it. This is all I did. This is all I've been doing since. So, you know, you get the practices there, but the most important thing is being around other comics and learning from other comics and learning from learning the business side too.
Right.
So yeah, I've been fortunate, man.
Yeah. And do you have a kind of a stage character, or like are you mostly yourself when you're up there?
I'm mostly myself when I'm up there, unless when I'm imitating my father.
Yeah.
Or I'm imitating a little boy or a little girl or whoever.
Because you do characters on social media, don't you?
Yeah, there's a character named Chalet, right?
Yeah.
Which is based on my father.
Okay.
So I don't do him for 45 minutes on stage, but he'll come out every now and then during jokes.
Right. And how did you start doing the Chalet character on social media?
Just messing around on Instagram. And then
lives?
sometimes no, just on like making videos and stuff like that before, when Instagram was 15-second videos. Charlie would be a character, and then he kind of just took on a life of his own, right? And then one day I did that character, I think it was snowing in Edmonton in October, and that video went viral. You know, sometimes that shit happens.
Out of nowhere?
Out of nowhere. And then it just Charlie kind of just took on a life of his own in a sense. I just kept doing it because, you know, people wanted to see it. Now you're getting the followers. People wanted to see that guy. So that's what I did.
And is the way that he's approaching things like, because you're talking about news, you're talking about, you know, everyday stuff.
Charlie has no filter. Charlie's the one that's going to say the things you want to say, but you can't say.
Yeah, right.
That's, you know, so people live vicariously through him.
And is that based on your father too, or you just like kind of put the...
My dad was like that. Very just said what he wanted. Didn't care. Didn't care how you felt. He just said things. And Charlie kind of says things and puts them in a more funnier context, but he's more bold.
Right.
You know, he's the bold one. So, I mean, that's what people like about him. He represents the things that you want to say about people, or the things you want to say about the world that you know you can't say. So he says it for you, kind of thing.
Do you have any creative process on this character, where you just press record and write?
I'm literally imitating my father.
Okay.
I'm literally just imitating him.
Right.
Did you know it would go viral?
No.
No idea? No, you were just doing that for fun?
You know what's funny? You never know what's gonna go viral. If we all knew how to make a viral video, we'd all make viral videos.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
It's always the video that you never expect.
Yeah.
It's always the video that you don't even care about. It's just
which video was it?
It was the one where I was snowing in Edmonton in October one time. And much like it is now, actually.
It is snowing now?
It is?
It's trying to, but it's not that bad.
It's trying to.
It was snowing, and then I went out there and I just ranted.
Yeah.
And by the time I got back from the store, the shit was on WorldStar.
Oh,
and I didn't know why.
Shit.
For like a few minutes.
Well, I mean, it's also the references, right? Like, you know, I threw in, that was when Donald Trump was about to win the first election. And Game of Thrones, I threw references about Game of Thrones when it was, in its prime and stuff like that. So it's references, little things that in there that made people, plus it was snowing crazy in October. So everybody else was like, you know, they were more shocked at the fact that it was snowing in October and stuff like that. So those little elements that made the video viral. But it was when you know, celebrities started retweeting it. When celebrities start reposting it, that's when,
you know, you're going viral.
Yeah.
That's when it took off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what made you decide to imitate your dad, like when you were shooting that video? Because you could have just made it with yourself just ranting on the snow outside, right? So
I don't know.
Just like that for fun, basically.
Well, the character had already. I was already doing that character, so that's why I just did it as that character.
But for how long were you doing it? Like before it like really took off?
Maybe 2 years.
Okay, that's a while.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, I did that video before.
Oh, really?
I did that video before, in front of the same building. It was snowing in May. but I was living in Toronto, and I guess and nothing. It was the same exact video, same style, same rant, kind of, but just different references. But
Right.
sometimes it's timing, right? You never know.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna go viral, man.
For sure.
I've had multiple videos go viral. I've had that video go viral. I've had the Donald Trump video that I just reposted today. That went viral 4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
It was in the Huffington Post. And then I've done a video about a girl and her shoes that went viral. I did a video about Mark Wahlberg recently that went viral.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know, man. You never know what's gonna go viral.
Yeah. Do you have any do you do a challenge on yourself? Like you gotta do one chalet video every week, every day, do you challenge yourself and stuff like that? Or
Not with Instagram, you have to do videos consistently, or you lose followers. But I don't like to force funny either. So, sorry, I try to do videos at least twice or 3 times a week, but sometimes I don't have things to say. And if I don't have anything to say or do content-wise, I'm not going to put out something just for the sake of putting it out. I don't want to force. I don't want to force funny. So I could be more consistent, but I try to put out as much content as I can.
Right. How's the because we're from Montreal. Montreal's has a big comedy scene, and
I love Montreal.
You love Montreal, yeah? Do you?
I used to love performing there, man. I used to love when you guys had Comedy Works. I used to love Jimbo's Comedy Works. I used to headline the Nest.
Okay.
Oh, really?
It's a good place, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very familiar with Montreal. I was supposed to come to November. I was actually supposed to come to November 14th, but that's not going to happen.
No, because you're going to Vegas.
No, well, you guys are shut down, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Chances are, you guys are it's gonna be extended. I don't think it's gonna end.
Were you gonna come here and do
for
shows?
sure.
Say again?
You were gonna come here and do shows at the Nest or something?
No, there was a show. A promoter booked me to do a show in a movie theater, actually.
Okay.
And he's a very popular guy. He puts on pretty good shows. He's pretty big in the Haitian community and whatever. So yeah, he was gonna. He had me booked. He even sent me the deposit, everything. But I guess with your lockdown, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's all fucked. Yeah. But I was going there. Like Toronto's similar to Montreal in that way. Like, how did it influence you in your comedy? Because they're very multicultural cities. It does influence your stuff for sure. So how did it influence you?
I love Montreal first and foremost, man. Toronto's, I do love Montreal, even though you guys hate Toronto. But
yeah, we do. That's true.
It's very funny because when I come there, I don't care about the beef.
But there's no beef. But yeah.
Oh yes, there is. Toronto and Montreal. I don't know why, but it all stems from the
rivalry for sure. Yeah.
I'm like, well, both hockey teams suck, so let's stop fighting. Right? Both teams suck.
Yeah.
And I'm a Habs fan. I'm a Habs fan.
Okay.
So, here's the thing. Both Montreal and Toronto are similar in the sense that very diverse, different types of people here in both cities.
Yep.
So growing up in Toronto, you grew up around Filipinos, Jamaicans, Guyanese, Trinis, Lebanese, Argentinians, all these different types of people, Italians. So you're going to pick up you're going to learn a lot of cultural differences, a lot of things that connect and divide us at the same time. Right. Things that are hilarious in different cultures that you can compare to Africans, because even being of African descent, there are things that are similar that we do that Italians do. There are things similar that we do that Jamaicans do. So connecting us through culture that's why Russell Peters is big, right? That's why Russell Peters is huge, because he grew up in a city that he was surrounded by all this culture, and he was able to take it to the world and just talk about what we do the same and what we do different. And there was nobody doing that, right? No comic was doing that. No comic was imitating every single culture and having something to say that's accurate about the culture. Right?
Yeah.
He gave a voice to different ethnicities. He gave a voice to different cultures.
Yeah.
But he would have never been able to do that if he didn't grow up in Toronto. Never. He couldn't have grown up in Edmonton and had that style of jokes. Never. Because he wouldn't have been exposed to all that culture. And I feel like only Toronto in Canada, only Toronto, Montreal. I think maybe those are the main two that can actually say that they have that kind of diversity in their cities. You know what I mean? Ottawa has some of it, a little bit.
Vancouver?
Vancouver, no, not really.
Not really.
Not really. Vancouver's a great city, but Vancouver's more like LA. You know, they have some culture there, but it's not like Toronto.
Yeah.
Where, like in Toronto, there's Little Italy, right? There's a section that's all Italians,
right?
And then there's a section that's all Jamaicans, and then there's just so much diversity. And even Montreal, there's sections where it's like all Italians, hang out there. You know, it's this. And then Montreal also has that European feel to it too, right? So it's just you can learn so much as a comic, being from one of those cities. You know.
And how does it influence you as a comic? You think?
Well, Toronto definitely gives me the balls to perform anywhere. I mean, I'm not afraid of many audiences because Toronto's not really afraid. We're kind of like the mini New York of Canada, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, not really New York, but kind of. There was a city that was close to New York and teaches you to be fearless.
Right.
Because our audiences are brutally honest, right? Our audiences don't stand for bullshit on stage. They want no, they don't. And I'm sure Montreal's the same way. So there's a training, right? Because when you perform in front of, let's say, Newfoundland, they just love the fact that they're out. They love comedy. They love to laugh. They love to have a good time. Audiences are a little nicer. Toronto, they're spoiled, and they're like, "Listen, we want quality comedy for the money that we spent. We want to see some good shit. So you can't just come up there with bullshit, because if you do, they'll let you know that you suck.
Right.
They'll boo you. I mean, I've seen.
Are they gonna boo you in Toronto?
Well, I've seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're not nice either. You know, I'm sure that happens in Montreal. They don't boo in Montreal. Of course they do.
Well,
you know, so,
well, maybe they do. I haven't seen it, but I do open mics mostly.
You're lucky. But Toronto's a big city, and you know, they're not easy to please.
Right.
Toronto, you know, so it trains you to go through the trenches, right? That's why they say New York's one of the best places to learn comedy, because New York is also like that as well. They're not gonna just hand you laughs. You know, you have to be legit funny, and sometimes you perform in the most horrible situations. Toronto's a big city, so there's so many different places, so many bars, different type of places to perform, where it could be a nightmare of a show. But when you persevere through that, you'll be able to perform anywhere. You know, so that's the influence it has over me.
Right. Okay.
And what about the Vegas market there?
Vegas will teach you how to perform for all of America in one room.
Okay.
It'll teach you how to perform for people from Ohio, people from California, people from Florida, people from Texas, people from North Carolina, people from Virginia, people from New York, Boston, Atlanta. These are all people in the room. It'll also teach you how to perform people from Australia, people from Canada, all these type of people all in one room. It'll teach you how to perform broad. It'll teach you that you cannot just walk in there with these set only for a set market, and you think you're going to walk Las Vegas room and kill. Sadly mistaken, man. That won't happen.
Right.
So when people go out, they're expecting to see a show, and if you go up there, you know, they won't tolerate bullshit in the sense that, listen, like, tickets in Vegas are expensive for shows. So when they spend $50, $60 on these tickets, they expect to see high quality shows, which means they need to see high quality performers. Yeah. So you can't go up there like it's open mic. They won't boo you, but it'll be a very silent, long 5 minutes, and you may not get booked for a while. You know.
Oh shit. Okay.
You don't want to. You don't want to bomb in Vegas, man.
Yeah.
I guess so.
You
Yeah.
don't want to bomb. No.
Yeah. Is it hard to get booked though? Like in the first place?
No, not really.
No.
Not really, because the comedians are pretty dope there, especially when you're from out of town. You know, they're very welcoming.
Okay.
You know, they're very very good with, hey, we got this show here, you should jump on it. They love out of town people because that's what Vegas is full of.
Yeah.
Out of town comics. So they're pretty good there. I mean, it's a little harder to get into like the main clubs, like like Brad Garrett's or Jimmy Kimmel's or Laugh Factory. Those are harder to get in. That'd be more of an established comic.
Right.
But places like LA Comedy Club that give chances, they always give you the chance to prove whether you can perform or not. You know, so it's not hard to get on shows in Vegas, though.
Yeah, that's cool. And how is it? Because United States is very more diverse.
Sorry, I don't have Corona, by the way. Sorry about that.
But I mean, like, United States are very different from Canada. Like, they're way more diverse in ways of thinking. Also, you know, there's some right wing, left wing. So I guess it's harder to make them.
I've always said, I think we have better comics
in Canada.
I think we have better writers. But there's more opportunity in the States.
Yeah.
They gamble more they gamble more in the States.
About the comics, you mean, or
they take more of a risk in booking you, you know, stuff like that. So I would say, like I would rather perform in America just because of the opportunity. You know, and even in England, where they're not afraid to put you on television, they're not afraid to put a machine behind you. It's more likely to happen in the States than Canada. Canada is a little bit more, this is who we think you should be watching. This is who we feel you should be focusing on.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more cookie cutter here. You know what I mean? So.
Except from Canada and the States, did you perform in another country? Like you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have you been to England?
I've performed in England all the time. I performed in Jamaica.
Oh, that's cool.
I have performed in Saint Martin. Yeah.
How
is it in the Caribbean? I've never heard any comics going there.
It's great. I mean, everybody loves to laugh. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody loves to laugh. But Jamaica's very similar to New York. You know?
Really?
Better come correct, man. Yeah, they throw stuff there.
Oh shit!
Better come correct, man. If you don't come correct, it'd be a very long. Be a very long evening for you. You know what it is? It's just Jamaicans, New York, they're very similar because they want their jokes now. They want the funny now. They don't have time for you to, unless you're a storytelling comedian, they don't really have time for you to build this whole setup. No, they want their funny now, you know? So, but they're great places to perform, fun places. Some of my best shows. England really appreciates the whole art of stand-up.
How is it in England?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. You could really make a career there, man. It's like Quebec, right? If a lot of the French-speaking comedians in Quebec, they don't really need to leave Quebec. Some of these guys, like Mike Ward, all these guys, Sugar Sammy at one point, they didn't have to leave Quebec. These guys were millionaires in Quebec because, Quebec has a community where they just have this love for French-speaking comedy. So there was a market. There's a scene for it.
Right.
In England, you can literally just tour England and be rich.
Okay.
Because they'll put their guys on television. They have their own television shows, their own ways of creating stars. They have their own award shows, things to heighten comedy and heighten performance. So, and they really support their own artists. That's the one thing I love about England. Very big on their own artists. So so there's a whole scene there. They don't have to leave.
Right.
They don't have to go to America to be big. They can be big in England.
Right. And how about the rest of Canada? Like, you think you need to go to the States? Or let's say you're from Toronto or something.
Unfortunately, in Canada, man, you have to leave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The powers, like I said, the powers that be, they dictate who they feel is funny, and I feel like Canada, they invest more in American performers than they do their own.
Oh, that's sad.
And it is sad, but it's the truth.
Mhm.
Look at some of the festivals. Look how they treat the Americans versus how they treat the Canadians.
Mhm.
So, if the machine here believes in you, then they'll give you the world. They'll give you, the world within Canada. But they're very like, this is who we think you should be watching. That's why when you look at Comedy Network and you look at all those things, you see the same guys every time. It's the same people. They don't introduce you to anybody really new. And if they do introduce you to somebody new, it's people that they love, that they're friends with. Not necessarily people who are funny, just the people that they think you should see and who they think you should be watching.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did it take a while for you to understand that? Because I saw on your bio, but I think I heard you say that also, that you were not gonna wait anymore for people to give you opportunities, and you were just going straight to them.
Yeah, because I remember being a comic, open micer.
Mhm.
I always wanted more. I always wanted more than the debaters, or more than being able to tour Canada. I wanted more.
Mhm.
So, I would inquire. I would do American festivals, and sometimes I would even like to do. Let's say I wanted to do a club. I wanted to get into a certain club. I would fly there on my own dollar, put myself up, spend probably like $1,000 just to do a guest spot.
Wow.
Just to do a guest spot, and then, but I knew that guest spot would turn into them featuring me. I knew that guest spot would turn into them headlining me one day. Right? I just need to get in the door. I didn't want to sit at my computer sending emails all day. I wanted to
Get there.
I wanted to put myself in the room. Sometimes what you have to do. Sometimes you have to put yourself in the room. It's cool, Danny. If you can email and people respond to you, good, man. But sometimes things aren't going to come to you. Sometimes you have to go get it.
Right.
So that's what I did. I remember I did World Series, even after a lot of people were like, "You should do that festival." That festival's, bullshit. But that festival is one of the reasons I work the States today.
Right.
Because of the relationships and the connections that I made being there. Other comics, other bookers. If you really think about it, these American festivals that have bookers there's your showcase. Now you're in front of all these bookers instead of having to send an email. Now
Right.
you're in front of these people for 7 minutes. So make it work, make it count, right?
Mhm.
So I've always believed in going and getting it. I don't really believe in sitting there and waiting for yuck yucks to tell me when I'm a star. Or that's not to diss yuck yucks, but a comedy club shouldn't determine to you when you're ready to be better, be bigger than you are.
Right.
Why don't you go out and face the world and see for yourself what your limitations and what you can and can't do.
Mhm.
Go do that. Go do that yourself, man.
Yeah.
So I'm very big on that.
But was it scary at first? Because I mean, United States is such a big country. Like,
Oh,
did
of
you know
course,
where to
man.
go, where to start?
No, I mean, the first place I performed in the States was New York,
Okay.
which is, because that's the first place you want to go.
Right.
It's a big city, New York. And I learned very fast, man. It's not easy to perform in front of, different audiences, but you do it, meet other comics, jump on different shows, do festivals, meet different comics, meet different bookers. New York led me to Vegas. Then Vegas opened up Denver. I'm sorry, it opened up Colorado. It opened up Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay.
It opened up Wichita, Kansas. It opened up LA, not to mention some shows I did in Toronto, Kenny Robinson's Nubian show, very popular show.
Mm-hmm.
Different promoters were sitting in there. So, the more eyes that see you, the more opportunities that are created for you. And I knew some people who put on shows too. I was friends with a lot of producers, so that led to me being on shows that maybe I wasn't necessarily ready for at the time, but still the experience, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm about going out and putting yourself out there as
Mhm.
opposed to like, okay, I'm gonna do a bunch of open mics and wait until somebody tells me I'm ready to go
Right.
do bigger things. Nah, bro.
Not gonna happen.
Here in Montreal, well, especially in Quebec, we're very strong and big on, like kind of stand-up classes and training. Did you go through any type of training, or did you take any lessons or classes to improve your material and your performances?
I remember I went to the Humber School of Comedy because I wanted to. Remember, I got tired of people saying, "Oh, this guy can't write jokes." So I remember, okay, let me go take a course on how to write structured jokes, and I was only there for a year, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about physical comedy. There was a physical comedy course. There was an acting course. There was a improv course. There was sketch. Learned all these different realms of comedy. So it was good to learn that, but I also learned that you can't teach funny.
Of course.
Can't do it, man. It's either you have it or you don't. You can learn the structure of writing, I guess, but I don't stand-up classes. Here's my thing with stand-up classes, and I don't want to offend anybody, but this is how I feel, man. I think stand-up classes, some of them are bullshit, because my thing is, how are you? Some of these comics who are teaching these classes are not successful comics. So how are you going to teach somebody to be successful if you're not successful yourself? That don't make no sense to me. Some of these guys, I feel like it's like a cash grab. Let me just get people's money and teach them what I know about stand-up. You can't teach that shit, man. You can't teach funny. You could teach, you could help people overcome their fear, because some people use those stand-up classes to overcome their fear of public speaking. They're not even trying to be a comic. They just want to learn how to overcome fear of standing in front of people. So I get it from that perspective, but I've never really, unless you're a well-established comedian, years in the game, headline across the country, maybe even the world, you've touched many stages, you've worked with various styles of comedy, then I feel you have something to offer. That's the teacher I feel has something to offer. But you got guys who have been in the game for 2-3 years trying to teach classes. And I'm like, you haven't even finished learning. So what are you going to teach these young people? You know what I mean? So I've never been a fan of some of these stand-up classes, to be honest. And that's not to diss anybody. I'm just saying, hey, man, if you want to, make your money, make your money. But bro, I just feel like I'm 14 years in the game, and I don't even think I could teach a stand-up class. You understand what I'm saying? I don't even think I have the tools to do it, because I feel like I have so much more growing and more learning to do. So I'm not in a position to try and teach a young, unsuspecting person on how to be a stand-up. I'm sorry, but it is what it is, man.
Right. Yeah, I
Right.
totally get it. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, there's some good parts about a school, because, like, say here in Quebec we have a big school, which is it's a stand-up school basically. But it's big because when you go out of there, they give you contacts, they give you they throw your names at people and stuff. So you have like a big milestone that others don't have. But yeah, it's not like a master class. Yeah, that's kind of that could be bullshit.
I mean, like I said, listen, I don't want to discourage anybody from taking. I mean, if it's a teacher, like I said, if it's a credible teacher, if it's somebody that is, like I said, years in the game, has a lot to offer in that sense, not like if Ron James, if Jerry D, Deborah DiGiovanni, Mike Ward, Sugar Sammy, these are seasoned comics that have a journey that I would love to learn from.
Right.
Then I would understand, they're teaching classes and I get it. But, I'm not trying to learn from a person that's 2 years older than me in comedy. No. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. You have any other projects? I know are you doing stand up only? Or are you doing stuff?
Yeah. I'm
You have any other projects? Like, Are you running for sitcoms or something?
No,
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 not
I'm
doing
pure
acting or
stand-up.
stuff.
Pure stand up, my man.
Mm-hmm.
Pure stand up. Yeah, I love performing, man. That's my thing. If you know, if a sitcom opportunity presents itself, sure. But I'm pure stand up, man.
Mm.
I love the stage.
Oh, that's cool.
Are people pushing you to go towards acting?
I have had people doing that, and I mean,
Yeah.
I think happens in time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But right now, I just love the stage, dude. Like
Mhm.
I love performing.
Mhm.
You know, that's my focus. I feel like I haven't even really mastered that. So until I master that, then you know, if acting comes, it comes. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah, if they offer you a gig, like,
I'm not gonna turn it down.
no, for sure.
The Trixx, we want you in a new Black Panther movie. Hell yeah, I'm doing it.
Could be
Yeah,
that.
of course, that would be amazing.
I would love to do that,
Yeah, that'd
but
be awesome.
you know, I
Alongside
would love
Michael
to.
Jordan. Yep.
I would love to film a movie. Why not, man? I mean,
Mhm.
but you know, right now I'm just trying to hone my craft.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's where I'm
Yeah.
at.
No, that's cool. How do you? I had this question earlier. I just thought about it again. How do you get like something that's funny for you, like funny for everyone? Because you said you're from a big city, you had to adapt to other cities like say Sarnia or something that are less diverse and stuff. Like, how do you adapt your stuff?
Talked about stuff that everybody can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're telling stories about yourself, family oriented stories and stuff like that, just talk about stuff that everybody can relate to. Yeah. Or tell it in a way where people are learning about you too. Because I find that if people are learning about you, then that also connects the room as well. If they're sitting there going, "Oh, we're getting to know this guy a little bit."
Yeah.
The generic stuff is funny, yeah, sure you'll get the laughs, but it's not going to connect you with the audience if you talk about Facebook and Tinder and just generic topics.
Yeah.
You'll like I said, you'll get the laughs, but you won't get the connection. That's what you want. You want people to leave the comedy club or wherever they saw you and go Google you.
Mhm.
Go look you up and see like what how they can follow you and stuff like that.
Right.
Like for example, this podcast probably doesn't happen with me on it if you didn't feel something when you watched me during that show.
No, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I was just up there doing generic jokes and I was just a regular comic, then you probably wouldn't have sought me out. But something I did resonated with you.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying. Now that should be the goal every time you perform, man. Like you should try to resonate with the audience.
Right.
So they leave going, they don't go, "Oh, the black guy was funny." They go, "Trixx was funny."
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And they go they tell their friends about you. Then they show up at another show with like more people, and people are they're kind of marketing you while you're sleeping kind of thing. So that's what I like. I aim for that every time. Even if it's just one person in the audience, man. I want one person to be like, "Yo, where could I see your stuff? Where could I, are you on Instagram?" If I could just get one person in the audience every time, man,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is for me.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
already big. Yeah, for sure. Do you have any inspirations in terms of, people? It could be. Or do you have any places where you go? And like you said, the shower earlier, which was funny. But like, do you have anywhere like I don't know if you're walking or driving or something, you get more ideas or
Vegas
jokes?
Strip.
Where?
Vegas Strip.
Vegas Strip. Oh, really?
Yeah, I love the Vegas Strip. New Orleans. Sometimes when I'm in the middle of all the music, there. If you were talking about more like stuff like when you're at home, if I'm at like if I'm in Vegas, I'll sit at the pool,
Okay.
among the people, just kind of have a drink and just kind of take in everything around me, and sometimes listen to conversations, stuff like that, and see if I could build something from just inspirations of different conversations. Settings. It's all about settings for me. Like, so yeah, like I like being around people. Parks. Sometimes I'll sit in a park and just try to see if I can gather stuff from just listening to different people. I don't eavesdrop. I'm saying like, sometimes you're sitting and you're hearing different conversations.
Right.
And see if I can get any inspiration that way. That's what I do.
So you're never in front of like a white paper and just like,
Nah, man.
okay, I'm gonna write now.
I can't sit there. I can't. It just seems too generic to me.
Did you try it for a while?
I tried it twice, and I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm writing a joke, and I got to write word for word. I don't got time for that. I like things. I just want to be free on
Right.
stage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I get it. And what about
Do
people?
you,
Chappelle,
Uh-huh.
my favorite. Chappelle's my favorite. Definitely influences from Eddie Murphy, Cosby, the comedian, not the man. Martin Lawrence, definitely. Even some Will Smith.
Yeah.
Comedic actor wise, not comedian wise. Comedic acting wise, Will Smith. Bill Burr, big influence. And Pryor.
Yeah.
nice.
Pryor.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, Ellen.
Ellen?
Mm-hmm.
Before the whole storm?
No, Ellen DeGeneres. Absolutely. I watch her show just to see because I used to love her connection with fans. I used to love that.
Okay.
I used to love how people just are drawn to her.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would watch the show trying to figure out why. Dead ass. I would always be like, yo, what is it about her that everybody loves?
Yeah,
like
she
everyone
does
loves this woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like everyone loves this woman. I want to know why. So I would watch the show, try to see what she does. What does she say? Like, what does she do that makes people fall in love with her the way they do?
Right.
Always. I study her a lot.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Sasha, do you have anything else? Or?
Yeah. Do you have any tips or advice for beginners like us to pursue trying to pursue a comedy?
Right after we said masterclass is our bullshit.
Don't pursue comedy. I'm just joking. I'll tell you what somebody told me, and it's probably the best advice a person ever gave me. Understand that you're not going to get famous tomorrow. This is a serious marathon. So while you're enjoying the marathon, man, just have fun. Everybody spends so much time trying to get famous today. That's not how it works. The longer you do something, the better you get at it. So just enjoy it. Have fun, This industry is a lot more easier to deal with when you're just having fun, honing your craft, writing jokes, sharing the stage with friends, coming up with new creative concepts. Just have fun doing it. Don't take this shit too seriously. Some comics will make you take it seriously, like in the sense that, oh, you gotta write a joke this way, and it has to be okay. Well, if you know so much about comedy, my friend, then why aren't you successful? Shut the fuck up. Like, just stop it. You're no more successful than I am. We're at the same gig. Just have fun. Enjoy it. Because you never know when it's going to be taken away from you. You know what I mean? So enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and just understand you're not going to get famous tomorrow. You're not.
Right.
Just enjoy it. Yeah, just enjoy it.
That's a good advice.
Nice. Yeah.